Once upon a time, in the quiet town of Umoko, where dusty red earth greeted the feet of early risers, and the evening sun painted the sky in shades of orange and sorrow, there lived a woman called Mami Fanny. But long before people called her Mami Fanny, her name was Agnes Nkemdelem Okoro, a woman whose hands once held the world for her only son, whose back broke under the weight of single motherhood. The morning started like any other. Birds sang gently on the trees outside her old mud house. The clay walls had begun to crack from too many rainy seasons, but it still stood like her, holding on to what remained. She rose before the sun, as she had done for over 30 years, and lit her small stove to boil water. There was no tea, no bread, just hot water. It was all her body could manage for now. She tied her faded wrapper tighter around her waist and sat on the wooden stool outside, her fingers shaking slightly from the morning cold. Her eyes stared into the street as people passed by, young girls rushing to school, traders heading to the market, and cyclists speeding past, raising dust and memories. Her heart was heavy. Today marked 5 years since her son Ifeanyi left her old house and moved to Lagos. He had become successful and was rich now. Everyone in the village knew. He built a mansion on the hill and came back every December in a convoy of black jeeps, wearing agbada and dark sunglasses, throwing money like confetti at weddings and church thanksgivings. They said he was generous, that he had made his mama proud. But nobody knew the truth. Nobody knew that Mami Fanny had not seen the inside of that mansion, that she had not entered her son's car even once, that she never touched the lace wrappers he sent to others, that she never smelt the perfume of his riches and never tasted the meat in the jollof rice he served visitors, not even on Christmas Day. Mami Fanny closed her eyes and whispered, "God, is this how it ends?" She remembered how she carried Ifeanyi in her womb while his father Emeka lay sick on a mat with swollen legs. She remembered giving birth alone at the primary health center with no husband, no helper, just pain and prayer. When Emeka died from a stroke, Ifeanyi was only 2 years old. From that day, Agnes became father and mother. She broke firewood, hawked roasted corn. She fetched water for neighbors. She took beatings from wicked madams who underpaid her for laundry work. She knelt to beg headmasters to accept late school fees. She pawned her wedding ring to buy a pair of sandals for Ifeanyi when he got admission into university. "Don't worry, Mama," he used to say. "One day, I will change your story. You will eat what rich people eat, I promise." She smiled back then. Her Ifeanyi had always been kind. He had never allowed her carry his school bag as a boy. Her heart swelled with pride each time she saw him holding his books, walking to school barefoot, refusing to give up. She believed in him more than she believed in herself. He studied engineering, graduated with first class, went for his NYSC and got a job in a bank. Then he disappeared into Lagos. He stopped picking her calls. He sent money once in a while through his cousin Obi, but never came home except during December, when the town was watching. She had become a stranger to her own son. One December, desperate to see him, she climbed Okada and went to his mansion. The gateman looked her up and down. "Who you say you be?" She replied, "I'm his mother, Mami Ifeanyi." He hissed, "Madam, abeg go. Oga say make nobody enter without appointment. Now who you be, sef?" She waited outside the gate from morning till sunset. He never came out. That night, she walked home with tears burning her cheeks like pepper. Since then, she never came back, until last week. She heard he was back again. The whole town buzzed with excitement. People were already going to his house with gifts, yam, chicken, goats, hoping to gain favor. But Agnes had no goats or chicken, just a broken heart and an empty stomach. So she went again, not through the front gate this time, through the bush path behind the compound, where she used to pass when taking food to construction workers, back when Ifeanyi was building the mansion. She waited till nightfall. She wore her cleanest wrapper and covered her head with a scarf. She was not there to beg, just to see him. She crouched in the shadows, praying no one would see her. From where she hid, she saw people laughing, drinking, dancing in the compound. The aroma of grilled meats and fried rice floated the air like an insult. Then she saw him, her son, wearing white abada, smiling and laughing, holding a glass of wine. His voice had changed. His walk had changed. He looked like a stranger in his own skin. She whispered, "My son, Ifani, can you not see me?" Her legs trembled. She wanted to run out, call him, fall on her knees and shout, "I am here. I raised you. I'm the one who carried you when you were sick. I'm the one who gave you my last." But fear stopped her. Or was it pride? Pain choked her voice. Then something happened. A boy from the kitchen came out to dump leftover food into a black bag beside the dustbin. Jollof rice, fried meat, cake, samosa. The boy returned inside, leaving the bag open. Agnes' stomach grumbled. She hadn't eaten since morning. Her legs carried her before her shame could stop her. She reached into the bag and pulled out a piece of meat, then rice. She sat by the edge of the wall and began to eat with tears. As she ate, she imagined her son laughing inside, not knowing that his mother was outside eating from his dustbin. She did not hear the gate man coming. "What are you doing here, madam? You dey mad? You dey chop dirty food from Oga dustbin? Abeg, come on here. Leave here before I pour water for your head." She jumped and ran, her wrapper falling halfway off. People in the street stared as she fled, holding the rest of the rice in her scarf. That night, she could not sleep. The next morning, someone knocked on her door. She opened it slowly and saw a journalist with a camera. "Good morning, ma. Are you Mami Ifani?" the woman asked. Agnes's heart sank. "Yes. Why?" The woman held up her phone. "I'm sorry, ma, but a video of you eating from your son's dustbin is going viral on social media." Agnes gasped. What? What do you mean?" The journalist looked at her gently. "Someone recorded you last night. People are asking questions. They want to know if it is true." Agnes fell to her knees. That moment was the end of silence. The morning was still early, but Agnes in Kemdelim Okoro felt like the whole earth was shouting. She sat on the edge of her bamboo bed, her hands trembling as she held the journalist's phone. On the screen was a blurry video, but even in the blur, she saw herself clearly. Her wrapper was half-tied, her hand was buried in a black plastic bag, her mouth was moving slowly as she ate the rice. Her face was hollow, tired and wet with tears. The journalist whispered, "I'm sorry, ma. I did not want to show you, but it's already everywhere." Agnes sat still, silent, shaking. Then suddenly, she got up and turned her back to the woman. "I am not a mad woman," she said quietly. "I know, Mama. I believe you. That's why I'm here. I was just hungry. I was not stealing." "You were not, I know," the journalist replied gently. Then the tears came, slowly at first, then in waves. Her chest heaved, her mouth opened, but no words came out. "My own son, my own Ifani. I drank pap for days so that he could try to WAEC. I slept on bare floor so that he could sleep well before exams. I sold my wrapper to pay his acceptance fee." The woman held her hand tightly. "Mama, calm down. The world needs to hear this. Please, let me interview you. Let me hear your own side of the story." Agnes nodded. The same day, the full story was posted online. It started slowly. Shares on Facebook, comments on X, short clips on TikTok. Then it caught fire. By evening, the entire country had seen it. People wept, they raged, and they asked questions. Some blamed poverty, some blamed Western mentality, others cursed Ifeanyi directly. Meanwhile, in the heart of Lekki Phase 1 in Lagos, Inside a white mansion with marbled floors and scented AC, Ifeanyi was pacing around furiously. His hands shook with anxiety. His phone would not stop ringing. His company's PR team had called twice. Clients were pulling out. His boss at the bank had suspended him, pending clarification of the situation. His fiancée, Chioma, stood by the glass window, arms folded. "This is bad," she said flatly. "Very bad." Ifeanyi turned to her. "Chioma, please. I didn't know this would happen, I swear." She cut him off. "Did you or did you not abandon your mother?" He did not answer. "I sent her money," he muttered. "When last did you call her?" There was silence again. She shook her head slowly. "Your mother was eating from your dustbin, Ifeanyi, and the whole world saw it. You were dancing in Agbada while she was outside like a beggar. For crying out loud, you were in the same city and you didn't even ask of her." His face tightened. "You don't understand. I understand more than you think. My own mother raised 6 of us alone, and we still call her every week. You were too busy to even check if she was alive." He tried to speak, but his throat closed. His mind flashed back to the night he saw her briefly outside the gate. The way her figure moved in the dark, he had told the gateman to drive that mad woman away. He never imagined it was her. His heart began to pound. Sweat broke out on his forehead. Then the doorbell rang. Chioma went to check. Her voice became tense. "Ifeanyi, is the press so?" He stepped back. "Tell them I'm not here." But it was too late. They were everywhere now. Cameras, microphones, journalists, bloggers, even 2 pastors had come. Ifeanyi shut the door. He felt like the walls were closing in. That night, he sat in the dark alone. He couldn't sleep. The internet had declared him the most ungrateful child in Nigeria. People dug up old photos. Agnes carrying him during NYSC. Agnes at his graduation in a cheap lace wrapper. Agnes on her knees during his job Thanksgiving in church. Each photo was a slap to his shame. Meanwhile, in Umuokoro, Agnes had locked herself inside. Neighbors came to greet her, but she could not look at them in the eye. Some came with gifts, others with pity. One even brought a new wrapper and said, "Mama, you are now a celebrity." She smiled faintly, but her heart was broken. "I don't want pity," she said. "I just wanted to be his mother again." Something strange happened that weekend. A black jeep pulled up in front of her compound. 2 men in black suits came out and opened the back door. Then she saw him, Ifeanyi. He was wearing a plain shirt, no sunglasses, no pride. He stepped out slowly, his eyes swollen from sleepless nights. "Mama," he said, kneeling at her feet. Agnes froze. "Mama, I'm sorry. Please forgive me." He broke down, sobbing like a child. The whole village gathered. Cameras clicked, phones recorded, but Agnes stood there frozen. This was her son, her only son, the boy she raised, the boy who forgot her, the reason she ate from his dustbin, and now he was kneeling. Tears filled her eyes. Then suddenly, she collapsed. Right there, in front of him, her body hit the ground with a thud. Screams filled the air. "Mama!" Someone shouted, "Get water! Call doctor! Move her inside! Move her inside!" Ifeanyi panicked. His hands shook as he lifted her into his arms. "Mama, don't leave me, please. I'm sorry, Mama, please." But her eyes would not open. Her lips were dry. Her breathing slowed. The sound of sirens shattered the silence of Umuokoro that afternoon. A black jeep sped through the red dust as villagers chased after it, shouting and praying. Inside the car, Ifeanyi held his mother's limp body close to his chest, weeping uncontrollably. His once proud, sharp voice now trembled like a broken radio. Beside him sat one of his security men, dialing numbers frantically. "Oga, we called the clinic ahead. They said we should bring her fast." Ifeanyi did not speak. He could not. His hands were soaked with his mother's sweat. Her scarf had fallen off. Her body looked so frail, and fragile. He kept whispering, "Mama, please, stay with me. Please don't go. I'm sorry. I will change, I swear." The car swerved into the small health clinic, the same place where Agnes gave birth to him 34 years ago. It was the same cracked building with faded blue paint and rusted roofing sheets and the smell of methylated spirit mixed with poverty. Nurses rushed out. They placed her on a stretcher and wheeled her in. Ifeanyi followed, ignoring the stare of villagers, journalists and church members who had gathered outside like flies to sugar. Inside the small emergency room, Nurse Obioma, a short woman in her 50s with thick glasses and tiredness, began checking Agnes's pulse. "Her blood pressure is very low," she said. She collapsed from shock, probably stress, hunger too. She turned and glared at Ifeanyi. "You let this woman go hungry like this?" Ifeanyi could not answer. "She raised you," Obioma snapped. "This same woman used to fetch water for the clinic when her tanks were dry. This woman cleaned the waiting areas, mopped the floors. For what? So that her only son would make it." Ifeanyi dropped his head in shame. Another nurse, Rita, adjusted the oxygen masks over his mother's nose and whispered, "She may wake up, she may not. Her heart is weak. We need prayers." That night, Ifeanyi stayed by her bedside. The nurses brought him a chair and a plate of rice, but he could not eat. He held her hand, the same hand that once wiped his tears when he fell from a tree, the same hand that held his books on a rainy school morning, the hand that had now become cold and frail. He whispered, "Mama, I'm sorry. I got lost. I forgot where I came from. I thought success was in the car I drove, the office I worked in, the people I pleased." He sniffed. "But it was you, Mama. You were my first home, my beginning, and I turned my back on you." At dawn, the doctor arrived from the city. Dr. Sylvester, a kind, bowed man with a calm voice, examined her thoroughly. He said, "She would survive, but be warned, she must not suffer stress again. What she needs now is peace, food, love, and rest." Ifeanyi stayed in the village for 1 full week, not to show off, but to rebuild what was broken. He made arrangements for a proper house to be built for Agnes. He brought in a nurse to stay with her full time. He gave money to the clinic and sponsored the repairs. He went from house to house in the village, apologizing to the elders, women, and even the gate man who once insulted her. But deep inside, the guilt still sat on his chest like an iron rod. One afternoon, while sitting beside his mother, as she slowly regained her strength, she opened her eyes slightly and whispered, "Ifeanyi." He jumped. "Mama, you are awake." She smiled faintly. Her voice was weak. "You came back." He nodded, crying again. "I came back, Mama. I came back too late." She touched his cheek lovingly. Better late than never. Then her eyes grew distant again. She said something that confused him. "Mama Esther told me what you did in Lagos." Ifeanyi blinked. "Mama Esther?" Agnes nodded. "She came in my dream. She said she saw you the day you beat your maid." He froze. What are you talking about, Mama?" "She said the same hands I used to feed you. You used them to slap another woman's child. You beat her like an animal and you sacked her when she cried at your gate." Ifeanyi swallowed hard. His breath dropped because it was true. That year, a young housemaid named Onome accidentally broke his wine glass. In his rage, he slapped her across the face and threw her out, barefoot, crying with nowhere to go. He had forgotten, but now he remembered. His hands began to shake again. He whispered, How did you know?" Agnes closed her eyes. "You dishonored me, not just by forgetting me, but by forgetting what I taught you." She started to cough again. He rushed to her side. "I'm sorry, Mama.
I will find her and I will apologize. I will. She raised her hand weakly to cut him off. Make peace with your past before it buries your future. That night, Ifeanyi could not sleep. He called his assistant in Lagos and told him to locate Onome. I don't care how long it takes. Find her. I owe her an apology. His assistant said nothing, just sighed. I'll do my best, sir. But she changed her number and no one knows where she went. As days passed, Agnes slowly grew stronger. Her laughter returned. She began eating properly. The villagers forgave and the town began to heal. But Ifeanyi still had one wound left, the girl he wronged. Then one afternoon, a knock came at the hospital ward. A young woman stood at the door, slim, dark-skinned, wearing simple clothes. Her face bore a tiny scar across the jaw, a scar Ifeanyi recognized instantly. Onome. They stared at each other silently. Then she said, I came because someone showed me the video of your mother and told me what happened. He stood up trembling. Onome, But before he could speak, she looked at him, her eyes calm. You don't have to say anything. The slap already said enough. She turned to leave, but Agnes, lying on the bed, spoke softly. My daughter, please stay. Onome paused and turned. Agnes said, if I raised him right, then he must learn how to bow his head in front of the one he wronged. Ifeanyi fell to his knees. I'm sorry, Onome, for everything. I was proud, blind. I was wicked to you. Please forgive me. Onome's lips trembled. Then she nodded. I forgive you, but promise me something. Anything. Be the man your mother believed you could be. The air in Umuokoro felt different now. Every morning, birds still sang and dust still rose from passing bikes. But something had changed, something spiritual. The widow, who once ate from her son's dustbin, now had nurses, visitors, and even a small generator that hummed through the night to keep her fan blowing. But despite the change in his mother's life, Ifeanyi was still not at peace. He had done what the world asked of him. He apologized publicly, rebuilt the health center. He transferred 500,000 naira every month to the town's widow's welfare account. He even cancelled his destination wedding with Chioma, choosing instead to build a modest house for his mother, besides the mansion she once watched from the bush. Still, his conscience had not fully healed. He began to feel something tug at him, a calling deeper than just apologies. 1 month later, Ifeanyi called for a press conference in Lagos. Dressed in a simple white kaftan and holding no script, he stood before the journalists and tendered a heartfelt apology to his mother and everyone he had wronged. The crowd clapped, some cried. The video went viral again, but this time not in anger, in hope. Back in Umuokoro, Agnes watched the video from a small second-hand TV her son had bought her. Her nurse, Nkechi, sat behind her, wiping her tears. You must be proud, Mama, she said softly. Agnes nodded with a smile, whispering, my son is back. But just when peace seemed near, a call came from Lagos. It was Ifeanyi's former colleague at the bank, a man named Tunde. He sounded tense. Bro, I don't want to spoil your new mission, but someone is trying to drag your name again. What happened? Ifeanyi asked. A lady has come forward, claiming you got her pregnant back in the day and abandoned her. She's planning to go public. Ifeanyi went silent. Tunde continued. Her name is Sarah. She said she was your NYSC friend. Said you blocked her number after she told you. Ifeanyi slowly leaned back in his chair and he remembered. It was true. Back then, Sarah had called. She said she missed her period. He panicked. He was jobless and confused, and instead of facing it, he had blocked her and never checked again. What does she want now? He asked. Tunde replied, "She wants you to acknowledge your son. His name is David. He's 8 years old." The line went silent. Then Ifeanyi whispered to himself, "Tell her I'm coming." 3 days later, Ifeanyi arrived at a modest flat in Surulere, Lagos. A slim, well-kept woman opened the door. Her eyes were sharp, but her face carried pain. "Sarah," he said quietly. She nodded. "You look older." "I feel older." She let him in. Inside the room was a boy, dark-skinned, sitting on a mattress, playing with a small plastic robot. His eyes looked up, confused. "David," Sarah said, "this is your father." The room froze. The boy blinked. "I thought I did not have one." Ifeanyi's heart cracked. He walked forward slowly, sat beside him, held his tiny hand. "I was wrong, and I am sorry. I was a coward, but I am here now, and I want to be your dad if you let me." David looked at him. "Do you know my best subject?" "No. What is it?" Ifeanyi asked. "Mathematics." Ifeanyi smiled through tears. "I was good at math too. Then maybe you are really my daddy." That night, he called Agnes. She picked up, sitting outside on her plastic chair under the stars. "Mama, I have a son." She smiled, then let him come home. Weeks passed. David visited Umokoro for the first time. He played with goats, ate roasted corn, bathed from a basin, and he laughed, a deep, pure laughter that brought healing to the whole house. Agnes hugged him like her own heart had returned, and for the first time in over a decade, Ifeanyi could smile without a shame. The Nkem Foundation launched officially in Abuja, and on stage, Ifeanyi gave his final speech. The room rose in applause, and so did Agnes, who was watching from the front row, her tears rolling freely.
The moral lesson of this story reminds us that no matter how far we rise in life, we must never forget the roots that raised us, especially the sacrifices of our parents. True success is not measured by wealth, cars or mansions, but by how we honor those who gave us life, love and support when we had nothing. Ifeanyi's riches could not cover the shame of neglecting his mother. The same society that once praised him turned against him when they saw the truth. His story teaches us that abandoning one's parents is not only a personal sin, but a wound that disgraces generations.